Okay, welcome to another video, guys. Today we're going to be looking at how to create a process for uh, when you submit a request on a project to then have Fusion automatically add tasks to that project based on that request. So this is going to be a two-part video. In part one, we're going to be showing the Workfront side of things, so how to build out that process in Workfront. And then in part two, we'll dive into the Fusion side, so creating that automation. So before we get into the video and show you exactly how we're going to build that out, I wanted to show you exactly what it is going to look like at the end. So let's go over here to this project. Um, and if I'm going to scroll down just to show you, right now our last task is task 22. Now, the idea is, you come over here, you submit an issue or request, and then that's going to add the task. So we're going to come in here, create a new amendment issue, and we'll just call this test. And then let's say the budget, and then we're going to submit this. Yeah, so we see that was successfully created. We're going to go over to the tasks, and now we're going to refresh, and let's scroll down, and there you go. So you see that those new tasks were added. Previously, 22 was the last task. Then it automatically added these amendment tasks. So that's what we're going to be building, and I'm going to show you step by step how I built that. So part one is Workfront, showing the framework of setting it all up here, and then part two will be Fusion. So make sure and stay tuned for that. So yeah, let's dive right in. Okay, so let's get started. Like I said, this will be part one of this video. And so in part one, we'll be focusing on the Workfront side. So getting everything set up within Workfront for this to work. Then in part two, we'll dive into the Fusion side, creating the automation for attaching the tasks and doing all that. So we're going to walk through step by step kind of what you'll need to do to set this up. So the first step we're going to look at is creating the custom form that will be gathering the details, the data that will be on that issue that we're going to be creating to trigger everything. So let's go to custom forms, just go to setup, and then we're going to go to custom forms here, and we can create a new custom form. So this is going to be an issue custom form, because like we said, it's going to be on the issue that you're going to be submitting on that project. Click continue. And then we'll just name this amendment. Um, that will be the title. That's kind of the idea with what we're doing here is, it's you're submitting an amendment to the project. So we do an amendment. Let's add just a few fields here. Okay, so let's get started. Let's start with a single select drop down. Let's call this the amendment type. And we'll say that we're going to have an amendment to the budget. We're going to have an amendment to the maybe the scope of the project. And then let's say an amendment to the due date. We'll pick one of the tasks. So I know one of the tasks on this project is the stakeholder interview. Stakeholder interview date. Okay, we'll do that. So those are the three different amendment types we're going to look at: budget, scope, stakeholder interviews. Now, for budget, we're going to want a field to get that information. So this is going to be the amendment budget field. So this is where we're going to input, that budget. But the second option was scope. So maybe that's going to be needs to be a bit longer of an explanation. Amendment, amendment scope. And then lastly, we have the interview. So that's going to be a date. So let's get a date here. Let's just put this down here. And this will be the stakeholder interview date. So we got this pretty simple custom form. The idea is this will be on that issue. So when you submit it, you're going to fill this out. And, maybe we want to make these um, required. So you have to, select the amendment type. Another thing we can do, and I can show this on a different video, but we can make it so using logic so that when depending on the option you choose, maybe you only want the appropriate, one to show up. So let's say if I choose budget, I don't need to have scope and stakeholder interview appear on the form. Um, if I choose scope, I only want the scope to show up, not the other two, or um, whatever. So you could do it that way. And again, we can look at that on a different video. But okay, so this looks good. We have our amendment form built out. So we'll save and close that. So that was step one, was building that form. Now we are going to go to the template and add the Q topic with this form. So let's go over to our templates, and then we're going to use this one. And what we're going to do is set up down here Q topic. Okay, and then we're going to add a new Q topic. So we're going to name this amendment, because that's what is going to be happening. And then this is where we're going to add that amendment custom form. If we wanted to add a description, we can. We don't have to. And I'm just going to leave kind of the rest as is, but let's save that. So now that is added here, we have the amendment um, added to this project, okay, or to this template. So now that we have that set up, what we're going to next need to do is, so for this process, right, the idea is that when you submit this request, this issue on a project, we want it to automatically trigger that some new tasks are going to be added to that project for this amendment. So in order to do that, we're actually going to create a new template. That's the way we're going to add those tasks. Basically, we're going to be attaching a new template to the project. So let's create a new template. We'll just call this amendment tasks, right? These are going to be the new ones. Um, let's say we have right here amendment, or we'll say the first task, we're going to say the amendment task. And then under that, we're going to say just um, task one, task two, task three, just for now. And then let's make it so these are child tasks. So we want it to be, or the parent amendment tasks, and then all the tasks that are going to be related to that underneath it. And let's say, you wanted to assign these to someone specifically. I'll just assign them to myself. I'll assign each task to me. In theory, you could assign this to a team. You could assign this to different people, depending on who needs to take care of each of one of these tasks that are going to be added based on that amendment being added. So it's a great way to, keep track of, okay, we're adding this amendment. Now more people are need to be involved doing different things, different tasks. So let's keep track of it. We can change the duration, plan hours, all that. I'm just gonna leave it for now, but yeah, you definitely want to update that according to whatever the process is that you're going to be following. Yeah. So now we added that template, so we'll be able to attach that, and that's what we're going to use Fusion for. So lastly, let's just kind of walk through this. Let's go over to our projects, and let's just create a new project from the template. We're going to use that general internal strategic initiative, and we're going to call this test amendment process. And let's create the project. Are we missing? Yeah, now we filled out everything. Okay, we got all the required fields, and we've created that project. So now if we go down here to our Q topics, we'll see that amendment is added. So let's say we're looking at this, what's that process going to look like? This is in the project itself. We would go to issues, we'd hit new issue, amendment. Here it is. We have a subject that is required. We'll call it test amendment. And then here we have that amendment type. We could say budget is 50K, right? And then we'd submit that. And there it is. So obviously we haven't set up the Fusion yet, but the idea is that we'd submit this amendment, and then once we do that, the task will show up here at the bottom. And so on the next video, we're going to dive into how to set that up, how to create the fusion so that it will automatically trigger those tasks being added. So definitely stay tuned for that next video for part two. It's going to be coming soon. If you have any questions in the meantime, let me know. Definitely, I'll leave my email in the description of the video. So if you have any questions around Workfront or Fusion, don't hesitate to reach out and happy to help.